It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 447. Tonight I'm joined by Ammo.
Hello.
Ashgar.
That's a big number.
Grace.
Hi.
Kodra.
You can always add one to it, though.
Tam.
Hello.
And Thalen.
Hey there.
Yeah, like it is our number continues to boggle the mind that one, we've been recording for a decade now, and two, we have this many episodes. So yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, I think I listened to a couple of podcasts that have actually gotten this far or further, but they also take it a lot more seriously than we do. So
yeah. I'm always amused that we actually have listeners.
We love our listeners.
Yeah,
All
we do.
three of you.
We don't understand them, but we love them.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Mom.
Yeah, like I was told the other day that somebody likes listening to us ramble while they do house chores, so
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
that's fine. Yeah, like I listened to Graham Stark talk about all the Olympic mascots the other day while I worked.
Man, that was great.
I did too, actually.
So like I understand having something on in the background.
Anyways, here's Athena with a gun.
I love that. Like, and here's so-and-so with a gun. We are still in the midst of a Path of Exile League. I myself
Those
made
games
an
continues to exist.
I made an abrupt turn this week and leveled the Righteous Fire Juggernaut.
Shocked. I'm
What?
shocked.
And it is geared and it is 80 something and in the middle of Delve now, so
You have surpassed me. I figured you would.
yeah, but I also went shopping for you and got you the Righteous Fire Starter Kit.
Yes, and I greatly appreciate it.
It's so I have to say, like, having geared to other Righteous Fire Juggernauts, it's real straightforward to gear the third one. Like, I know exactly what I'm looking for in every slot.
Lots of
As
armor.
someone who is
lots of
also
life.
playing a repeated build, like it is, once you sort of know how a build works, it's really easy to sort of make it work again.
Yeah. Like I am almost as sturdy as my previous RF jug, and I've just got some pretty crappy gear on in a few slots. It's a lot of the tree and the ascension.
Is it safe to say that, because like this has been kind of a perennial build, it doesn't seem like they mess with it much, or do they?
They've inadvertently tweaked it a little bit. Like, so RF goes back and forth between popular build for Juggernauts and popular build for Inquisitors. And that is having some weird effects on the market. Pox decided, oh, hey, I've played 2 RF Jugs in a row. I want to play an Inquisitor. Now everyone is playing the Inquisitor variant instead. And as a result, there are certain key items that the Juggernaut build wants that the Inquisitor doesn't care about that are now pretty reasonable. Other things are not reasonable at all. Like, I can't touch an influenced pseudo 6-link helm for less than 3 divines, probably.
Eesh.
Yeah, like
That sounds like a make it yourself situation.
Yeah, like I'm gonna have to get up to Elder Guardian maps and get a base and then try and make a helm and then try and also probably make a second helmet for Thalen. Because Thalen is joining the Righteous Fire self-immolation crowd.
It's a lot of fun. It reminds me of playing Magneto in Marvel Heroes. I just wander around with a circle of hate around me, and everything that gets near it dies. And occasionally I have to actually push buttons to kill something big.
One of my favorite builds in Diablo 3 was the Invoker Thorns Crusader, which was the stop hurting yourself build. Stop hurting yourself. Stop hurting yourself. And like you just walk around and everything breaks itself on your armor. And for the most part, Righteous Fire feels the same way, just with more fire.
Until something comes along that shuts off my regeneration.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I have noticed, and this is what League 5 for me. I've gotten really good at like noticing specific effects that I'm gonna have to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know what the sound of the damn poison globes sounds like.
Yes.
And I know to just start charging in a direction. The red ring of death is what you need to be aware of. And like, once you see it, you'll never not see it.
Well,
but there's like a maroon ring that circles the mob on the ground.
Well, I think that's different from what I was running into, because I've encountered that and I recognize it, and that just makes it so you can't go above half health. The thing I've run into, and I've only encountered it within the Vol Pyramid after doing incursions and building out a pyramid, is your regen is literally turned off. Like if you are at 20 health, you are not regenerating past that until this effect ends.
Yeah. The Maven Beam does the same thing.
Yeah, so I guess it's that effect, because I do remember now, like you mentioning that for Maven you have to have a dousing
quenching, or whatever
flask to turn RF off. So
or you can just try and YOLO Maven without RF on, which is its own problem.
But you also need this running around the Vol Pyramid, because there are things in there that apply that.
I've encountered that before, and I've managed to spam flasks to survive it. But like, it's real noticeable when it happens. And if you can get away, Righteous Fire won't actually kill you.
Right, it'll only drop you to 1.
Right, like if you can get away, you can let it burn you down, and though, hey, you don't have Righteous Fire anymore, and everything's better.
To answer one of the earlier questions, they have nerfed some of the single target skills used by Righteous Fire before. Fire Trap got a nerf a few leagues back. The build in general ate some offense nerfs from the mastery changes last league.
Yeah. Which, the weird thing about the mastery changes is it lost some damage, but it gained some survivability.
I think more relevantly, the mastery changes means that you can run Righteous Fire much, much earlier into the game.
Yeah, I started running it at level 20 on this this character.
Yeah, I think the guide says you can turn it on as early as level 17.
Right?
If you have what you need.
I've got some stuff to do to my build because I'm running a 5-link currently for a chest, and that just means I'm running Val RF instead of RF.
So what does Val RF do for you?
So the difference between Val RF and regular RF is RF doesn't have the duration tag. Val RF does have the duration tag.
So the thing I saw on, I actually was looking around trying to figure out why you had to put life tap on Righteous Fire.
It's to give it the duration tag.
And I saw someone mention that, and someone else said that the duration tag only applies to the Vol version of the skill.
That is the regular not true.
Oh.
Well, there's a few things. Like, tags do not determine supportability. Supportability is defined by skill attributes, but weird stuff happens with Vol versions of skills.
With the Vault, okay, so I did some tests because I've heard this too, that the Val version, or like the regular RF in the Val version, doesn't have the duration tag. But there's a significant difference in my kill speed when I have Swift Afflictions slotted versus not slotted.
I mean, I would assume that if the Righteous Fire gem lights up when you mouse over the Swift Afflictions, then it is applying.
And it does for Val
applying to the whole thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like there's a lot of people who have said, "Oh no, it doesn't actually work," but it works. Like this is the second time I've used it on a character when I had a 5-link, and it absolutely works.
Maybe I should look for one of those then, because right now I've got normal and I'm just not using.
There's you in the bank.
Because I think I'm not using whatever the other red would normally be, burning support. Maybe I don't know.
Elemental something or other. elemental damage. I think elemental attack damage, or I don't know. It's something. It's an elemental damage something. No, it's burning. It's burning damage.
Yeah, burning.
That's the one. Yep. I'm thinking of my
Elemental damage with attacks.
I'm thinking of my raider who uses elemental damage with attacks as the token red gem.
Yeah, no attacks on the RF build.
Like, you should already be viable through probably depth 100.
I need some more Azurite, but other than that, yeah.
I mean, wait, yeah,
So
once you
pretty
get
good
your
so far.
resists up, like, have you done your 4th lab?
I just did that just before we started here.
Okay, sweet. I've
So
been
yeah, I was
dumping
already
goddess
pretty
things in the
tanky,
bank.
and now I'm even tankier.
Yeah, that last one makes a huge difference. Doubling the armor value of your chest. Kind of huge.
It's the one I would want to steal when I get my Berserker up.
Yeah, I was trying to think, like, what do I want to try and steal? Because realistically, like, it's probably not likely I'm going to get the Chieftain one available for a reasonable price. Like, I'm wondering if there's anything from Berserker worth stealing.
No, not for Jug.
Okay. Well, what I did last league is I just stole one of the other abilities that I didn't spec into in the Juggernaut tree.
The only thing that like you might even consider stealing is Defy Pain, and I think Defy Pain mostly wants you to be life leeching and using attacks.
Okay, yeah, no, that ain't gonna work. There's a dumb thing that you can do. Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flame. One gem drops off of Searing Exarch, and the other gem drops off of Eater of Worlds. And you have to have the same attribute on both of them. But if you do this, and this is really only something viable in Trade League, because it is super unlikely you will ever get 2 gems to drop with the same ability.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do that, it basically just gives you another Ascension item if you can socket those gems in your tree.
Ooh.
So you can, but they're Marauder gems, not Juggernaut or Berserker or Chieftain gems. So you can steal a thing from Chieftain or Berserker as a Juggernaut, and they can steal from Juggernaut as well.
I haven't looked, but I'm assuming the Chieftain Elemental Resist nodes are completely ridiculous to try to get this way.
I've not even, like, I do not have enough of a war chest to even consider, like, unique gems. But, like, I did it also on my EA champion last league, and it was real powerful to swipe an ability.
Yeah, I'm just puttering along over in SFF, and all of these things are way beyond me. But that's okay.
How's the map?
I've been trying to figure out how to, like, for the items that are reasonable to get yourself, things like a +2 minion helm. I've been trying to figure out how to make them rather than just buy them, because I feel like I would like to know this in case I do play SSF in the future.
I mean, I've made one off of a base that I've already gotten before, because like I crafted one for the dumb Armageddon brand build that I was running around with for a while. And like, it wasn't hard, but at that point I had thousands upon thousands of chaos, and I could just chaos spam my way there.
I guess that's fair. That is eventually an option.
I don't quite have that option, but I'm focusing obviously on specific things that I need for my build. I don't know, it's going fine. I mean, I'm well into yellow maps, I guess. And I did clear my 4th lab today too, so not having any particular problems. The main thing is just like actually finding the maps that I need or creating them, and just building out my Atlas tree so I can poke around in the things that I want for crafting or for farming stuff. But it hasn't been too painful. I mean, it's definitely not as simple and fast. I can't just go through and completely clear things like I know I would if I could buy a couple of pieces. that I need, but it's also kind of more satisfying. This is sort of how I prefer to play this style of game anyway, so I don't know.
Have you started in on Delve at all yet?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten very far. I basically have been doing the same thing I usually do at the start of a league, which is just kind of farming some azurite and getting things built up a little bit, not really pushing too deep. Haven't had any real trouble with it. And I've been doing a little more heist than I normally do in a league and haven't had much trouble with that either. So,
Cool.
I'm not pushing anything really hard, but, I'm not having trouble with what I am doing. So I can't complain.
Well, it's kind of hard to focus if you can't buy scarabs of a specific type or something like that. So you kind of have to do, I guess, a little bit of everything as stuff drops.
Yeah, pretty much. Just kind of doing things as I get them. I've built up a couple of heists. I'll go do those. Oh, I guess I'm getting full on sulfite. I'll go do some delve for a while. And I mean, those things are all lucrative, and heist and delve are some of my favorite content anyway. So, I mean, I guess heist I enjoy in theory until I die
with a death.
Yeah, with my inventory full of cool stuff. But I haven't really had that problem this time around. So
yeah, I was chain running heist on Lightning Arrow, and then I took a death, and I've not been back in heist since.
I anticipate that will happen at some point, but right now, I still am just kind of trying to build up my characters and kind of I haven't gotten a lot for heist, so it's been slow, but it's been fun. And yeah, I think I'm poking around with my Atlas skills, and I think eventually I will probably rework the whole thing, but for now it's been going all right. And someday I will have something other than a 4-link weapon, but
you and me both.
But I did I lucked into a corrupted bow that has a +2 to my gems and 4 links that work well for me, so I can't complain that much.
I mostly re-rolled to a Juggernaut. Not that I've stopped playing Lightning Arrow. It's still my mapper. But I mostly re-rolled this week because I did not realize how much I leaned upon Delve in the past 2 leagues. Because Delve is the answer to a lot of problem. It is a way to get kind of everything available in the game in small quantities, but you can do enough to make up some gaps, and also it gives you access to maybe the most deterministic crafting system. So I missed having fossils and all that stuff, and my super squishy mapping build just is not viable in Delve. I tried some of it, and it was not good times. I do find it hilarious, the degenerate strategy that evolved this week around the league mechanic. So for a few days, there were some specific previously 1 chaos uniques that escalated in value because there was a bow build that used a Quill Rain and Empire's Grasp and a few other items to essentially perma-stun the NPCs because it would knock them back forever.
Explain how this worked. This used things like Rain of Arrows or Blast Rain, along with Ballista Totems, which use the skills for you, along with an item that caused knockback direction to be reversed. So NPCs would just get vacuumed into the totem and not be able to do anything.
And they'd try and leave, and it would vacuum it again, and it'd try and leave.
I'm guessing it would never kill them, but you
don't
need to
kill them.
So.
No, you just need to keep them busy while you run around and capture all the totems. And like this maybe lasted 24 hours before an emergency patch removed it. And like Ash and I had this whole debate as to whether or not it was going to get patched.
That's maybe a bit too good.
Yeah, I thought it might not if it drove the price of silver coins up, but it did not do that. So yeah, they patched it.
Yeah, it was pretty much a high-end loot printer, and there are several cases where folks have gotten mage bloods and headhunters from the league mechanic. Like
Nice.
drops that are like 5 divines at a time for a single round. I mean, the most spicy thing I've seen is a 6 link, and I lost the round, so I didn't get it. But I have heard from lots of people that 6 links and 5, like I've gotten a 5 link, but like 6 links are apparently not that uncommon once you get up above 200. But also winning matches becomes challenging up above 200. Prior to getting to 200 rank, I could pretty much face roll every single tournament, but then all of a sudden I started getting one shot.
Ugh.
Yeah, so it's kind of a steep cliff that you fall off there. Anyway. Also this week, new Guild Wars 2 expansion came out, and
Yay.
I have patched my client up and poked my head in a few times, but have not really done anything yet. I think Ash, you've done a little bit.
I did a bit, got Weapon Master training done for my Necromancer because that's the class that needed it the most for me.
Works on all of your characters.
Yeah, it does apply account-wide once you have it.
Yay.
And got to explore some of the systems changes. One of the more interesting of which is the reworking of daily rewards.
Yeah, so is it like there's a set of rewards available for X amount of time and you're acquiring them over time? Yeah, how does it work now?
Basically, there's a bunch of objectives, and they give you points, currency, astral something.
I don't remember what it's called either. I just need points.
And all of the old daily rewards plus a bunch of cosmetics and some gem store items and
some ridiculous things like a legendary starter kit.
Yeah, legendary starter kit are available for these points.
Nice.
But you can buy them in whatever order you want. Quantities refresh. Some of them are quantity limited, and the quantities refresh seasonally.
Okay, so you're getting points every day, and then you spend them on what you want.
Yep.
Yes.
I like it. No more my bank filling up with the daily things that I don't ever use.
You can still buy those if you really want them.
Yeah.
But
if I
can
ever
I
run out of the
cash
ones
in
I
my
have?
vault full of them for points?
No, unfortunately.
That'd be nice. Yeah, that sounds like a definite improvement.
Yeah, like the only comment that I've heard from friends is that it sounds like the sky scale is effectively a gimme now, which is good.
That's yeah.
It
was a lot of work to get, and I'm not going to begrudge anybody, not having to go through that.
Exactly.
Yep. I did it, and I would do it again, knowing what I know now. But like, I definitely think everybody should get it easier.
Yeah, like it's still a really neat experience, and like it's.
You do get upgraded masteries and a fancy skyscale skin if you've done both.
So there you go. There's still a reason to do it, and also it's a fun story featuring Goric, who's great.
Goric is
a character that
very involved.
Goric is a character that I did not super love when I first met.
But same.
Has grown on me significantly over a series of expansions, patches, whatever.
He needed to learn how to properly interact with other people, and he's still working on that.
Goric has a story arc.
But yeah, he's a good little guy who's maybe a little overly obsessed with bugs, but that's okay.
It's okay. It is thanks to him I can go real fast.
Yeah, he's why we have roller beetles, and roller beetles are wonderful.
Now, does the game expect you to do a bunch of different things to get these rewards?
You actually get to pick. It gives you a choice of whether you want PvE, PvP, or world objectives.
Or a mix of all of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm running a mix, and so far, like, I've not done much of them, but it's looked like they're all pretty straightforward things to accomplish. So, like, play a single PvP match. Okay, well, yeah, that's easy. You don't have to have any specific outcome from the PvP match that I've seen. It's just play one. There's the world versus world objectives so far that I've gotten have been more specific, but they've also been fairly accomplishable.
I was about to say, World v. World would definitely have me a little bit nervous, depending on what they are, because sometimes, like, World v. World objectives need a big group of people to help you accomplish them.
Yeah. Depending on like, I'm going to assume the objectives are, things like capture a tower, or, escort some supplies.
Off the top of my head, I don't remember what they were, but I
not
remember seeing them and thinking, "Oh, that's not too bad."
They're not capture Stone Mist Castle.
They're not go kill the veteran animal anymore. That I've seen. I will miss those because like
that was easily solvable.
That was a fun thing. Like, and you always ran into people while doing it.
Yeah,
so
you'd head over there, and there'd be other people hanging around waiting for it. Yeah.
I think
but I understand why it's not.
The one I saw in the PvE, because I've chosen Charlie PvE ones, is I have as a weekly complete a fractal. And while there are a few fractals I can solo, it takes forever, and I'm not doing it.
Maybe you just start trying to find time to do fractals again. Still got that backpack to work on.
Same.
So I'm pretty sure we've talked about this one at one point before. Pseudoregalia.
Yeah, I actually started playing this. And what an interesting game. It's got some real, like I think Ash mentioned, it's got some real, this was made in the PS2 era energy.
I think PS2 is giving it too much credit.
The early PS2 energy, perhaps.
Fair.
And it has much better controls and movement than anything in the PS2 era. It's actually pretty neat. It's one of the difficult things is that it really wants you to explore, but it's also really dark. Like especially the first area is just like really dark in that late PS1, early PS2 way.
Of course we have to be dark because we can't, let everyone see just how limited the draw distance is.
Yeah, it's this interesting mix of some combat-y areas and jumping puzzles to make your way through a space with a lot of Zelda style. It's like if you had a really long Zelda style dungeon, but with a lot more platforming. I keep on expecting it to give me double jump. It feels like a game that wants double jump.
I imagine it will eventually.
It's given me a bunch of other weird moves.
As far as I know, it does not actually have a normal double jump.
I'd believe it. But yeah, it's interesting. I've been playing it on deck, and it's quite good on deck. It just as a deck game, it's quite good. It is definitely trying to. I'm gonna mention that late PS1, early PS2 era thing a lot because it's clearly doing that on purpose, and I'm not convinced it's a great choice. Which is interesting because it's way smoother than any of those games were, but the intentionally low fidelity does mean it's kind of hard to figure out what's going on sometimes. I haven't run into anything that's this is so hard I can't do it, but it is I don't really understand how this movement is working or how my melee attacks are working for a moment. Because if you leave a image of yourself when you make melee attacks, the animations are just kind of weird. So it's hard to tell where I am sometimes. It's not the biggest deal, but it is a thing I notice. I'm sort of fighting the art style in some cases. But the movement is really slick. There are modern platformers. Precision jumps in 3D can be a real pain.
Yeah.
And this is definitely there's some surprising precision jumps, and this game has done a few fairly clever things to ameliorate that problem. Every so often I'll look at a thing and be like, yeah, that's not a series of jumps you can make. And then I see oh no, there's a path. And that path is actually doable. Okay, sure. No idea what the story is about. Couldn't tell you. I've I guess I'm in a disguise and people tell me that my disguise isn't very good. But yeah, I have no idea. But it also doesn't seem to be about that too much. It also helps to get to the second area, which is very brightly lit.
Yeah, this is a game that I saw a Castlevania speedrunner start to get into, which is why I had to take notice, because this feels like a game that is ripe for things like sequence breaking, even though it's not very long. But also it's difficult to tell what the intended sequence actually is. So
Not sure that's a good combination.
It's not very big, so it kind of doesn't matter. But yeah, just seeing the movement is what made me strongly just recommend this game.
Yeah, the movement is pretty good. Like it is really easy to have a 3D platformer that is just like an exercise in frustration.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there are so many, including some significantly higher budget than this.
Yeah, there's definitely some learned. There's definitely some like, you know, things they've learned from this, and I like seeing games that are looking at old genres and improving on them, as opposed to just copying them. But yeah, it's definitely been my but it was definitely one of two games that I was like, I'm probably going to play a bunch of this on the deck.
Is it pretty good on the deck?
I've only played it on the deck, but it's fine on the deck. If you're like a controller snob and don't like the deck controls for your platformers, then I guess it wouldn't be. But it's worked fine. It's worked fine for me.
Yeah, no, that's. I'm not a control. I actually like the Dex controller.
I think the Dex controller is great.
It is not a controller I would play Celeste with, but I'm also extremely specific about what I will play Celeste with.
I want them to make a Steam controller V2 that is just what's on the deck.
Yeah, I would really like to see that. Because like there were some cool ideas that the Steam controller had that the deck has now perfected, and I just want that. Like
I am looking at video of this. It actually, like, I do see like PlayStation 1. It also looks very much like an N64 game to me.
I mean, yeah.
It's so weird to look back at the PlayStation 2 era specifically, because I can remember at the time thinking, wow, games are never going to get more realistic looking than this.
Yeah.
And now you look at that and be like, what was I thinking?
Like, I remember playing Tekken Tag Tournament and think, wow, this is almost photorealistic.
I will say I do feel like it's been a minute since I've been like, man, I'm being blown away by the graphical improvements. Like I don't know. I didn't feel like I could really feel the graphical difference between PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5.
But the thing that I'm enjoying, because I'm not noticing those graphical improvements anymore, is that I'm appreciating really specific art styles instead. Because not everybody is trying to be as realistic as possible. Some games are, but there's just a nice variety of art styles, and I can find some that I really love and play some cool games with those.
Yeah.
Well, like, I mean, I think the classic example is EverQuest 2 versus WoW. WoW's stylistic art style stayed fresher longer than EverQuest's attempt to go for what was at the time cutting edge realism.
Yeah, it just didn't. I mean, it went the same way of the early CGI cartoons.
Yeah.
Like Beast Wars.
Beast Wars is real rough to watch.
Yeah, it's an amazing cartoon with like some amazing stories, but boy, it's difficult to watch now. Or Reboot.
Yeah. Reboot is so far gone, it feels stylistic now. Like at the time, I was really into those Mind's Eye videos of like 3D animation, and Lord, do they look basic as hell anymore. It's just weird how perspective changes over time.
It really is. I've had games where I've been like, wow, I'm really impressed by the graphics, but they're pretty few and far between at this point.
Yeah.
I'm impressed by moments in games more than anything else now. Like there are specific moments that are gorgeous. Like, you can say whatever you want about New World, for example, but its world is awesome at times. Like, there was an event going on and I patched up and popped back in briefly, and there was just a moment, a little last week when I was cresting like a hill and the moon was up, and like the world itself was gorgeous. Like, there are some issues I have with their character models, but the landscape, spot on.
Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I still play Genshin Impact, because whatever you think about that game's monetization, like, there are just moments where you are wandering around this beautiful world and, you'll get to the top of a mountain and get rewarded with a ridiculous view, and makes it really worthwhile.
Yeah, there's a moment in Last Epoch where you're fighting on the top of this temple, and it's towards the very end of what's available in the game now. And just the scenery that you're moving around looks so cool. What is the Banished Vault?
So I'd mentioned there were a couple of games that I was going to try on deck, and that was the other one. And I forget how it was described to me, but it's got some interesting vibes to it. Like, at least on the store page, like a little bit of 40K meets like FTL meets Stellaris kind of thing. I was like, oh, that could be interesting. Wow, that game does not care about teaching you how to play it.
Oh no.
Like, not even a little bit. You can pull up the manual.
I was gonna say the game definitely had a cool aesthetic when I saw like advertisements for it.
Yeah, it's got a cool aesthetic. It looks like it could get really interesting and be really interesting, but it just, like, I played through the tutorial and the tutorial was like 50% open the manual to this page and see what it tells you about how to do this. And I'm like,
wow.
No, actually, I don't think I want to do that. I mean, like, I guess good for putting your manual somewhere accessible in the game, but like,
I mean, I have occasionally, missed when games had like nice, like thick, manuals with lots of information and stuff, but not like that.
press Y to open the tutorial PDF. Didn't super thrill me.
Yeah.
And so I played, and like, I should probably boot it up again, because I did play through the tutorial and I did kind of get some of what it was doing, but like, it was just such a turnoff in the initial push, and there are a lot of other very good games I can be playing right now.
Yeah. But my problem right now is definitely not a shortage of games.
Yeah.
Like, I still haven't actually started Baldur's Gate 3.
It's cool. It's a good 3D game, or it's a good single player game. It'll wait.
I mean,
This,
to a degree, I'm kind of happy that I waited because, they put out the first big patch now, and so a lot of things are fixed.
it's true. Boy, Game of the Year this year is going to be a rough competition.
Yeah, it is.
Like, in the last month, 3 more have showed up for me. 3 more very reasonable contenders.
Yeah.
Unlike Starfield is very soon as well.
Yeah, like, there's also games that could well make the cut that haven't happened yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, the really big, Hail Mary Cyberpunk 2.0, where they fix a bunch of stuff and add an expansion's worth of content, is also coming out.
Right. Yeah, and it looks really good from what I've seen. Like, there's been a bunch of footage of various things coming out of Gamescom, and the Phantom Liberty stuff looks phenomenal. Like, I'll absolutely restart the game from fresh whenever it comes out.
A game I badly misjudged due to its terrible marketing campaign. Not the first and probably not the last.
Some of the stuff from Gamescom, like Citizen Sleeper 2 looks really good.
Oh my god, yeah.
Phenomenally good.
Can't wait.
When is Hades 2 happening?
What?
When is Hades 2 happening?
I don't know.
Not
if we have
soon enough.
I don't think we have a date for it, but soon.
So.
TM. Yeah. I thought the Rogue Trader CRPG stuff looked good.
I am very hopeful for that one.
So I will say, like, having played a little bit of it, like, I am interested, but boy, I can't. I kind of feel for Alcat because it feels like they have some big shoes to follow.
Well, yeah. Everybody's going to get compared to Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, but CRPGs especially will now.
Yeah.
I will say, Baldur's Gate 3 is making me want to try and revisit Divinity Original Sin 2. Maybe not have my first experience be a multiplayer experience. Maybe do that single player. I think you lose something if I can't imagine this game would work as a first playthrough being multiplayer.
I've seen both, and I feel like it's just different experiences. But I think it would be really fun to play through Baldur's Gate multiplayer, having beaten it once, and just mess with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That sounds like a blast. Like, get a bunch of friends to mess around in Baldur's Gate, have a really good time. But I don't think I do not think what I want to do is that be my first playthrough. There's too much story, and I think like I remember I felt like I was missing out on what was going on in other places when I was playing Divinity Original Sin with multiplayer.
Yeah, that's fair.
And Armored Core 3 also came out or Armored Core 6 also came out this week.
Speaking of games that are Game of the Year contenders, so you've probably heard me tiresomely complain about how Dark Souls games just seem to not care at all about movement, or at least they don't take joy in movement. And the reason I feel that way is because I played Armored Core. And Armored Core 6 is a game that I did not expect to see. And it is super cool. Like, we've talked about playing Mech Warrior. And like Armored Core 6 is a mech game. And I feel like there are a couple of different concepts of mech games that are out there, and you've got like the Mech Warrior, which is you are big, you are stompy, you're bristling with guns, and it's a lot about this kind of ponderous tank style gameplay. You've got the very anime high speed swords and beam weapons Gundam style. And then you've got Armored Core, which is both at once.
To me, Armored Core is more like Robotech.
Yeah, probably.
Because Robotech didn't do the over-the-top Gundam stuff, but like they were still agile vehicles.
Yeah. You are Armored Core. Yeah, Armored Core is sort of in that. Like Robotech splits the difference. Armored Core is also splitting the difference. You have a lot of control over how to tinker with your mech to make it do the things you want to do. I'm currently, I've currently put together a mech that's really emphasizing flight and agility. But you can also go the other way and just be like, I want to be a giant tank, or I want to be ultra fast, ultra agile, and all kinds of things in between. And then it's got, Souls style bosses. Like missions are relatively quick, and the bosses are just epic in scale or in scope. Like we were just talking about not being impressed by graphics in games. Like I'm impressed by the graphics in this game. All of the parts of my mech respond to the way I'm moving. So like I change directions, and not just the jets that I'm firing are different, but like the control surfaces on the mech move. And that's true of like everything I'm fighting. And some of the stuff that you fight is just huge. And there's all kinds of different ways to approach it. Sometimes you can get like part of the reason that they make the missions relatively short is because you can go into a mission ill-equipped for what's coming, and they want to make it easy. Like, even if I'm pretty sure even if you die, you can change your setup in between restoring from a checkpoint. Because yeah, like sometimes it's just like, oh hey, I brought a big tanky thing, but the thing I'm fighting is also a bigger and tankier and punchier thing. I'm not properly equipped to handle it. Whereas I fought a boss where I was like, oh, I have all of the tools I need to beat this guy. It has a almost certainly going to be infamous tutorial boss.
Already kind of is.
I was gonna say, I've heard people say, "Oh, is this a boss that's supposed to just kill me?" It's like, oh wait, no, I'm supposed to win this fight. Oh no.
Yeah. Yep. That was definitely my experience. I was like, oh cool. Man, that was rough. I guess I'm gonna see what happens next. Oh, I restore from checkpoint. That's what happens next. Cool.
Does this game have difficulty settings?
It's a FromSoft game.
It's a FromSoft game?
I know. But I'm not going to rule out the ability for FromSoft to learn a lesson.
I do not believe that has been learned.
Okay, cool.
It has quality of life settings. I'm not going to say that it has difficulty settings. It's still a FromSoft game. Like it is a FromSoft game. It is for a particular kind of person. You're probably not going to die ignominiously to some random, mook in a hallway. Like it's not really about you getting jumped by some chump and dying and being like, well, I guess I know there's a chump around that corner now. Cool. It definitely is much more about the flow of combat. But on the other hand, the bosses that I'm unprepared for kill me a lot faster than any Souls game ever did. Even like Sekiro did not just kill me straight up immediately the way that freaking helicopter did. But it's real cool. Like it is the slick, fast, other kind of mech game, and it really enjoys its multiple valid ways to play. It's also just cool to be like, man, I want more guns on this thing. What if I just put more arms and legs on my mech, and now I'm a big, I don't know, Octobot. Got guns everywhere.
That was probably my favorite thing about the series, was just the wide leverage that you got to just screw with your mech and try a bunch of different things.
But there's a much like the older Armored Core games, there's a flow that I've hit that just feels incredible.
Are you playing on deck or are you playing on desktop?
I'm playing on desktop, and I actually started on the controller and switched to mouse and keyboard because I like the control scheme better.
But I thought you said this was a FromSoft game.
Right? I'm as surprised as you are.
I like the picture that had the reverse-facing Steam Deck, so that it felt like the old Armored Core, like, dual joystick. It's like, nope, incompatible on Steam Deck.
It's classic.
Is there a way to play this with one of those old rigs?
What old rig?
The, like, dual joystick rigs that you used to play Armored Core games with? Or am I thinking of another mech game?
You're thinking
you
of
might be thinking of Virtual
On.
Okay.
Because I absolutely had Saturn sticks that I used with Saturn and with Dreamcast to play Virtual On.
Virtual On is a much more anime style mech game.
Virtual On. The name I can never not think of is an Ontario Tangram.
I know the first word is oratorio, but I don't actually know what the second word is.
I think it's Tangram.
It is, in fact, Tangram.
Some mech jockeys from Ontario.
some Canadian mech warriors. That's probably an actual real thing.
How about a fight, eh?
I am intrigued to boot this up because I do enjoy the mech stompingness of Mech Warrior, but it sounds like it's going to have a lot of mech customization, and that really matters a lot.
It's huge. It's huge on mech customization,
which is what I really enjoyed with Mech Warrior with the mods we play with.
I want to play this game, but it's like in the list of things that's coming out all at one time that I don't have time to play all the things.
I have to decide if I want to play this next or Starfield next.
I mean, I'm playing this before Starfield at least, but I'm still like I'm knee deep in Path of Exile because I really want the challenge rewards this league. They came out with an armor set that is entirely up my alley, which means learning to do some things I have not done before.
I mean, at a minimum, I want to do 20 of 40 like I did last league.
So is there a vendor recipe for the Orb of Fusing other than sell a 6-link?
It's still a 6-link.
Okay. Just double checking.
I mean, eventually, hopefully, we'll get enough trash 6-links that we'll sell one.
Sure. Someday.
Because sometimes corrupted 6-links are real bad.
Let's say I've seen some not great corrupted 6-links. Not this league, but in general.
I have to keep my tradition of being able to get the little stubby, sad totem pole. And I'm pretty sure there's no way in hell I'll do 40 of 40.
Well, I'm never going to do 40 of 40. Like, that's not a thing that I have in me.
What is 40 of 40?
So when every league comes out, they come out with like a set of challenges, achievement things.
Are these the ridiculous end game achievements?
Like a lot of them are like reasonable, like the things you're going to just get done as you go through the campaign. And then there are things that you might have to reach for a little bit. And then there are like 5 or 6 that require you to get through a bunch of end game content in specific ways and or grind a lot.
Yeah, like one of them last time was kill Argus in Eternal Labyrinth 200 times.
Oof.
It didn't require you to do it in the Eternal Labyrinth, I don't think.
Oh, was it Eternal? Okay. It was just Argus, period?
Just Argus.
Yeah.
Which is only in the Labyrinth that you need an item to unlock.
He is in Merciless Lab now.
Really?
Yeah. I just killed him when I did Merciless Lab a little earlier.
Okay. Maybe he just doesn't show up every time.
He doesn't, no.
Yeah, so like folks that are trying to do this will wait for there's a week where he's like in the first area or the second area so that you can get to him quickly and farm him. But like they're all kind of degenerate things like that. I mean, I've got a lot of the mechanic specific ones, like, you know, kill, I think it was 20 essences that have 8 essences on them.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a ridiculous thing to ask someone to do.
Yeah, those are some of the tankiest things ever, but you know, you can eventually chew through them. But luckily the first set looks cool too. Because by doing, I want to say like the first 12-ish or so, you get a full set of armor, cosmetic armor.
I think it's first 10, but yeah.
16 challenges to get the full set.
Oh, really? The head takes that long?
Yeah, the helmet is on 16. And then
Got it.
20, and then 20 is where you start unlocking tier 2.
We have any other short topics?
New Fallout 76 season is going. It is presidential themed.
Yeah, it was real jarring to log into a flag.
Yeah.
I've been continuing to play and continue to be impressed with Roll to the Top, which is a board game I definitely would recommend Thalen check out.
Yeah, I need to check this out.
As it features numbers and writing your numbers and drawing them in on a little map, and it's very fun and satisfying. My son beat me in it today, and that was very cool.
Nice.
I was super proud today. I took him to a local board game meetup, and he managed to last like 4 hours and was on pretty great behavior. So we're probably going to do that more now.
That's cool.
But I got to play Lords of Waterdeep, now understanding a little bit more about the lore of Faerun.
It is long and complicated.
Lords of Waterdeep? Or the lore of Faerun?
The lore of Faerun.
Yes, it is. Between the most recent D&D movie and now playing Baldur's Gate 3, I definitely appreciate it a little bit more.
I like Faerun a lot. Like,
I mean, it's easily my favorite setting, but it's also partially because it's a setting that I read a bajillion novels in growing up.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, there were way more Faerun novels than, like, Dragonlance or, you know...
I don't know. There's a lot of Dragonlance novels.
Okay,
but there are
maybe I
also
just didn't read a lot of
novels.
Dragonlance novels because, like, it wasn't really my thing and it kind of bounced pretty early.
I mean, a lot of those Dragonlance novels are not good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
go ahead.
I from my years working in a bookstore, I recall Dragonlance taking up the largest amount of shelf space.
Oh, really?
I think I like Faerun more frequently and maybe this will change now that I've interacted with it more, but I like it more when it is like a setting that I am playing in, like a game or I'm reading a book in, as opposed to like a D&D campaign.
In other news, one of the things that came out of Gamescom was the Path of Exile 2 demo again,
Yes.
in which they showed the class that I'm going to play when that game comes out.
What's that?
The Druid.
Do you want to be a bear? Do you just want to do bear things? It's amazing. Do you also sometimes want to be a caster? Do you want to seamlessly blend back and forth between the two?
Yes, I do want to do that thing, actually.
Do you want to do combo moves? Like the bear rampage volcano thing was amazing.
In which you can cast a skill and make a volcano on the ground that shoots extra projectiles whenever you stomp around it. So you can turn into a bear and stomp a whole lot, and then everything dies to volcano damage.
Yeah. And definitely watching the gameplay of the druid, it felt like maybe they didn't hard limit the gear on this round of demos like they did the previous one.
I think another thing is also that this demo is intended for people who might not already be very into Path of Exile, unlike Exile Con.
Maybe we want this game to look fun.
Yeah, Druid looks slick. It was a very Path of Exile neophyte that was doing the interview, so and they were able to navigate the character just fine, so
That's good. Now, was this like a pre-built character, or...
Yeah, it was pre-built.
It's for the demo. Like, if you want to play it, I think they'll be at PAX.
Yeah, that's PAX West was one of the, or PAX Prime.
It's PAX West now.
Oh, it's back to PAX West. Okay. Yeah, so that was one of the locations they announced. Hopefully some of y'all Seattleites will have some hands-on experience.
Possibly.
I have a feeling there'll be a line, though.
Almost certainly.
That's the problem with PAX, is everything's a big line if you want to play.
It's been really interesting watching the folks that were playing Diablo 4 making their way over to Path of Exile. Because like there's a streamer YouTuber that I started watching during Diablo Immortal, because they were super into Diablo Immortal. And then, when Diablo 4 came out, they transitioned over into Diablo 4 and were hard badgered by their community to try Path of Exile. And it's been this thing like for a week where every day they announce that this will probably be the last day. And then the next day they want to get back in and play more Path of Exile.
Good night, Path of Exile. Most likely kill you in the morning.
Exactly. That's what it feels like. And, they created like the most, I don't know, like it was they definitely went for a theme. Like they picked up shield. What's the first shield bash ability you get? Shield rush. Yeah. And like basically have used that from that point on as their main attack. Like, and built an entire character around that one main attack. And then eventually got some help from the community to like, maybe you might want this unique or that unique, and have somehow turned it into a perfectly viable character over time. But yeah, no, it's been interesting to watch. It does kind of make me want to see what a Shield Crush character would feel like at end game.
Shield Crush is a quote-unquote melee attack that hits in a rather large area in front of you.
It is a big cone in front of you.
So it would probably be fine.
And I'm like half tempted to try the Cyclone build that you sent to me earlier.
Go for it. You should do it. Normally I'd tell you should play Whispering Ice, but I would not play Whispering Ice this league because tattoos are a thing.
Yeah.
And that build basically can't use them. So yeah, you should play Syro Shard's Cyclone Cast while channeling Ball Lightning on a Corrupting Fever build.
And you were saying that this is most likely something that came from the Korean community?
I suspect there's a Korean guide because there are a bunch of players on the ladder with basically this exact build, and most of them have Korean names.
Okay. Yeah, like it's really interesting to me that the Korean community and the Japanese community have totally different metas than what the English-speaking community does.
This game has a lot of skills. And many of them are good despite what the English-speaking community would like to tell you.
Yeah.
I still think I started guarding with Absolution, and I started that character to play Animate Weapon and picked up Absolution on the way, and I think that might just be what I pivoted.
Oh, we've got a bunch of Val Absolutions in the bank.
And we'll see how it goes. But also Guardian is real dumb right now. Real dumb.
Yeah, you basically have a Righteous Fire minion that follows you around.
You just summon this big giant Super Saiyan statue and everything will be perfectly fine.
I mean, it's apparently the class of choice or the ascendancy of choice for playing Elemental S right now.
But it's going to be terrible. Everyone says before launch that this class is going to be absolutely ruined.
I still need to spend some time on PO Ninja and dig through some of the successful Chieftain builds. Because, I have a feeling that class was also deemed to be a horrible idea, but I think somebody's going to be making good use of it.
The explosion node was better than anybody ever could have predicted because the radius is not written on the node, and it turns out it's most of the screen.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
But the slams seem to have worked out slightly as well, which is sad because I was hoping to steal that off of Chieftain for my build.
I was hoping that slams would be more viable than they are currently as a result.
Play a Berserker. You want to play slams, play a Berserker. It's very good right now. Also pick a slam that's good, not Earthquake.
But it's fun.
Earthquake has viable builds too, just not on Berserker.
Yeah.
Earthquake wants you to hit once. Berserker wants you to hit fast.
Anyway, that's probably a show. Any final thoughts? Okay. Well, hopefully you enjoy the show, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you.